Hello and a very warm welcome. I am Gushin Garland and you're watching Firstpost. In the next few minutes, we bring you the top 50 updates from around the world, only here on Fast and Factual. Let's get started. Big updates coming in from West Asia. Israel hit an apartment block in the Lebanese capital Beirut in its largest rounds of strikes. At least 3 members of a Palestinian armed group were killed. The Israeli drone hit the apartment that belonged to the Lebanese group Jamaa Islamiya in Kola district. In recent days, Israel has shifted focus from Gaza to target Hezbollah in Lebanon. Israel also hit several Hezbollah targets in Lebanon's Bekaa region today. Israeli warplanes attacked dozens of launchers and buildings where the weapons were stored. The Israeli military said the sites were linked to Hezbollah. It added that the IDF will continue to assess the damage and degrade Hezbollah's military capabilities. Iran-backed Hamas group said one of its leaders died in an Israeli airstrike in Lebanon's south. This comes after a strike was reported on a Palestinian refuge camp. Fatah Sharif Abu al-Amini was a Hamas leader in Lebanon and a member of its leadership abroad. According to Hamas, the leader was killed after an Israeli strike hit his home in Al-Bas camp. The leader died along with his family that included his wife, son and daughter. The body of Hezbollah chief Syed Hassan Nasrallah has been reportedly recovered from Lebanon's Beirut. Nasrallah was killed over the weekend in an Israeli strike in the capital city. According to reports, he did not have any wounds on his body. It appeared that he died due to trauma from the force of the blast. The death of Hezbollah leader Hassan Nasrallah has left a void in the group. It raises questions as to who will succeed him. Hashim Safieddin and Naim Qasim are seen as the two frontrunners. Safieddin currently heads Hezbollah's executive council and is also a cousin of Nasrallah. On the other hand, Qasim is Hezbollah's Deputy Secretary General and has often called as the group's number 2. Lebanese Prime Minister Najib Mikati expressed concerns over Israel's operation in Lebanon. He said that the attacks in Lebanon may have already displaced more than 1 million people from their homes. The Lebanese Prime Minister said, and I quote, "It might be the largest displacement movement that the country may have witnessed." Israeli Defense Minister Yoav Gallant hailed the army for its strikes targeting Houthis in Yemen. The strikes targeted power plants and seaport facilities in the Yemeni city of Hodeidah. It also killed at least 4 people, wounding over 30. Calling the strikes impressive, Gallant said, "Those who dare to harm Israel will have to pay a heavy price." Gallant's remark come after Houthis launched ballistic missile on Israel's international airport. A former rival of Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu has joined his government. The opposition's lawmaker name is Gideon Sa'ar. He has joined the cabinet again as a minister without portfolio. Sa'ar's return will strengthen Prime Minister Netanyahu's coalition as Israel battles Iran's allies on multiple fronts. US President Joe Biden said he will speak to Israeli Prime Minister Benjamin Netanyahu soon. This is said to be the first call between both the leaders since the assassination of the Hezbollah leader. The United States has maintained that a diplomatic solution is needed to avoid any further escalation between Israel and Hezbollah. US Vice Presidential nominees J.D. Vance and Tim Walz will face off Tuesday in a debate. It will be a big bid to attract the voters in Central America, who could decide their fate. The debate will take place in New York, which is also a stronghold of the Democratic Party. Meanwhile, there have been calls for a strong debate between presidential nominees too. However, Donald Trump has refused for a second debate with Kamala Harris. A chemical plant in the U.S. city of Atlanta caught fire on Sunday. The tragic incident prompted evacuation from places surrounding the plant. It was reported that the fire broke out due to a sprinkler malfunction, which caused water to react with the chemical. In Austria, the Freedom Party has secured the national parliamentary election. This marks the first time a far-right party in the country has won its second since the Second World War. The party won 29.2% of votes, beating the ruling Conservative People's Party. However, the Freedom Party would still need a coalition partner to form a government. Russia has launched several waves of drone attacks on Kyiv. However, the Ukrainian army repelled the strikes. Kyiv, its surrounding areas and all eastern parts of Ukraine were also under air raid alert. The Ukrainian Air Force claimed they shot down 67 out of 73 Russian drones. Japan's Prime Minister designate Shigeru Ishiba has announced snap elections. They will be held on October 27. The new leader of the ruling Liberal Democratic Party is set to formally become Prime Minister tomorrow. He said it was important for the new government to be judged by the people. Ishiba replaced outgoing Prime Minister Fumio Kishida after winning the party's leadership vote. Bringing you climate updates now, Nepal is currently grappling with devastating monsoon rains. So far, at least 192 people have died from rain-triggered floods and landslides. Officials say at least 31 people are still unaccounted for. Over 100 people have sustained injuries in the extreme weather situation. According to police, as many as 4,000 people have been affected by the weather chaos. Floods continue to wreak havoc across South Asia. The Indian state of Bihar has also been inundated by heavy flooding. The deluge was triggered by torrential rains. Residents were seen navigating through waist-high water. People living in rural areas are also struggling to find shelter for their cattle. State weather officials say more heavy rainfall is expected in the region in the coming days. In southeastern US, at least 90 people have died due to Storm Helene. The storm impacted several states, including North Carolina, South Carolina, Georgia, Florida, Tennessee, and Virginia. The deadly storm also knocked out power for millions of people. Reports say the states have suffered nearly $100 billion in damages. Storm John has killed at least 22 people in Mexico. The worst-hit state of Guerrero reported at least 18 deaths. Residents in southwestern Mexico were evacuated from their homes amid heavy flooding over the weekend. Some 18,000 military and rescue personnel were deployed to deal with the storm. The UK's last coal-fired power station will close its doors today. With this, it will become the first G7 country to end its dependence on fossil fuel to produce electricity. The power station has been running for the past 60 years. This marks a historic step for the UK to decarbonize electricity by 2030. Switzerland and Italy have redrawn a section of their alpine border due to the melting of glaciers. This iconic mountain lies between Switzerland's Zermatt region and Italy's Aosta Valley. Melting glaciers driven by human-caused climate change are altering the natural boundaries. As glaciers recede, the two countries agreed to modify the border around key landmarks, including the Zermatt ski resort. A joint commission reached an agreement in May 2023. But while Switzerland has approved the changes, Italy's signature is still pending. On to business and tech news now. Japanese stock markets plunged today. The Nikkei 225 index fell over 4.5%. Meanwhile, the Topix index dropped over 3%. The market declined day after Japan's ruling party elected Shigeru Ishiba to become the country's next prime minister. Ishiba typically opposes the Bank of Japan's move to keep interest rates extremely low. His election comes at a time when the Japanese central bank has started raising interest rates. China's factory activity contracted for a fifth consecutive month in September. Data from China's National Bureau of Statistics showed that the world's second-largest economy is still struggling. The manufacturing sector is the largest contributor to China's economic growth. Data also showed that output of the service and construction of sectors declined in September. This comes as China has recently announced new measures to revive its economy. A fire broke out at a factory of Chinese battery maker CATL yesterday. The factory is located in China's southeastern Fujian province. The battery maker said that relatively small number of products were affected by the incident. CATL is the world's largest battery maker. It supplies batteries to global EV makers, including Tesla. Indian authorities have launched a probe into the fire incident at a Tata Electronics factory. The factory is in southern India's state of Tamil Nadu caught fire over the weekend. This led to at least 2 workers being hospitalized. Tata Electronics factory assembles Apple's iPhones in India. Port workers on the US East Coast and Gulf of Mexico will go on strike from tomorrow. This was announced by the Port Workers Union, the International Longshoremen's Association. The strike could cause delays in goods transportation and affect supply chains across America. This comes as a wage contract between workers and a group of port operators is set to expire tomorrow. The union workers are demanding a pay hike in the new contract. Ralph Delator, the CEO of US hospital chain Steward Healthcare, is stepping down. The move comes days after Delator refused to testify before a US Senate panel. The Senate has unanimously charged him with criminal contempt of Congress. Steward Healthcare filed for bankruptcy in May amid heavy debt. The firm is selling out several of its hospitals due to cut costs. The chairman of Swiss bank giant UBS has criticized the government's new proposal for the financial sector. Earlier this year, the Swiss government announced tougher norms for country's 4 largest banks, including the UBS. The proposal requires banks to keep more capital in their reserves. UBS chair said that the increase in capital requirements just doesn't make sense. California Governor Gavin Newsom has vetoed a contested artificial intelligence safety bill. It was strongly opposed by major tech companies. The bill required the most advanced AI models to undergo safety testing. The California governor said the bill would apply stringent standards to even the most basic functions. He also noted that the proposal could prompt AI developers to move out of the state. Music streaming platform Spotify suffered an outage over the weekend. Over 40,000 Spotify users were unable to access the platform in the US. Spotify said it had resolved the issue, however, it gave no reason for the outage. A SpaceX capsule has docked at the International Space Station. The Dragon capsule is there to bring back 2 NASA astronauts, Sunita Williams and Butch Wilmore. The pair went to the space station on Boeing's new Starliner capsule in June. However, they were stranded as the Starliner faced multiple issues and it had to return to Earth without the crew. And now we move to sports, and just like usual, we start with cricket. The rain-marred Indian versus Bangladesh test resumed on day 4. Heavy rains washed out the match earlier on Saturday. Due to the wet field, play for the subsequent days was also suspended at the Kanpur Stadium. India currently lead the test series against 1-0. The retention rules for the Indian Premier League 2025 have been announced. The IPL teams can now retain up to 6 players for the next season. Each teams will have a purse of rupees 120 crore, which is about $14.3 million for the auction. Additionally, a match fee has also been announced for the first time in the history of the tournament. Australia clinched a 5-match ODI series against England 3-2. Australia won the rain-marred decider by 49 runs using the Duckworth-Lewis-Turn method. England batted first and posed 309 runs. The rain came when Australia were at the 165 for 2. The star of the match was Australia's Travis Head, who took 4 wickets and gave away just 28 runs. Ireland have won their first ever T20 international match against South Africa. Batting first, Ireland scored 195 for 6 in the first innings. Ross Adier smashed a century of 57 balls. In reply, South Africa finished 185 for in their 20 overs. The 2-match series ended in 1-all draw. In football, the La Liga derby between Real Madrid and Atletico Madrid was suspended. This after Atletico fans targeted Real's goalkeeper mid-watch. Then they threw objects at Thibaut Courtois and other players from the stands. As a result, play was suspended for about 20 minutes. The derby ended in 1-all draw after the match resumed. Over in the Premier League now, Manchester United tasted a humiliating 3-0 loss against Tottenham Hotspur at home. Spurs scored opened in the first half through Mickey Vandy when the other two second-half goals came from Dejan Kulusevski and Dominic Solanke. Inter Miami continues its unbeaten streak in Major League Soccer. Charlotte FC were leading 1-0 against Miami during an MLS match. Lionel Messi came to the rescue and scored in the 67th minute to settle the game 1-all. It was Messi's 15th goal in 16 matches this season. In tennis, men's world's number one Yannick Sinner has reached the quarterfinal at the China Open. The Italian was up against Roman Safiullin of Russia. Sinner lost the first set 3-6. However, he staged a comeback to win the next two sets 6-2, 6-3. Men's world number 2 Carlos Alcaraz has also advanced to the quarterfinal. The China Open, the Spaniard, the Dutch tennis player Talen Grexper 6-1, 6-2. Alcaraz's quarterfinal opponent is Karen Khachanov of Russia. Over in the women's draw of China Open, women's world number 2 Coco Gauff entered the round of 16 at China Open. The American easily defeated Katie Boulter of the UK 7-5, 6-2 in straight sets. Gauff next faces Japan's Naomi Osaka in the fourth round. We now move to the world of showbiz. We begin with the ongoing case of rapper Sean Combs. According to reports, he has been taken off the suicide watch. It is a standard procedure in the cases like these. Sean Combs' family members also visited him in the prison. The rapper is being held at Brooklyn's Metropolitan Detention Center. He was arrested on September 16 on the charges of sex trafficking and racketeering. South Korean singer Suga has been slammed with over $111 after he was found riding an electric scooter under the influence of alcohol. The BTS band member has been fined by the Seoul Western District Court's prosecutor's office. The incident happened on the 6th of August. Songs by artists like Adele, Bob Dylan, Green Day cannot be played on YouTube in the US. This is due to a legal dispute between the video streaming platform and SESAC, which is Performing Rights Organization. The deal between the two parties have ended and they have failed to renew the contract. The content represented by SESAC is now not available on YouTube. Singer Diljit Dosanjh introduced his mother for the first time during a concert in UK's Manchester City. This is the first time in his decade-long career that he has made his family meet his fans. During his performance, he hugged his mother on stage and dedicated a few lines to her. He also invited his sister on the stage and introduced her. The animated science fiction film The Wild Robot has collected nearly $35 million in its second weekend at the North American box offices. It is a survival film based on the book series of the same name by Peter Brown, The Wild Robot. Pushed Beetlejuice to the second position with a collection of $16 million. Sebastian Stan says playing Donald Trump is like quote-unquote riding a psychotic horse through a blazing stable. Stan is taking over the role of former US president in the film The Apprentice. The film is around Donald Trump's early years as a businessman. The actor says he watched hundreds of videos to prepare for his character. The film will release on 17th of October. Actor Tom Cruise paid a surprise visit to the Royal Albert Hall in London, where a Top Gun Maverick orchestral was underway. He took to the stage and praised the work of the performers. The actor said witnessing the performance is like his dream come true. Actor Rebel Wilson tied the knot with her partner Ramona Agruma in Italy. Wilson took to social media and wrote that she has finally found her Disney princess. The newly married couple went public with their relationship in 2022. Wilson proposed her groomer for marriage in 2023 at California's Disneyland. Actor Olivia Culpo and footballer Christian McCaffrey have bought actor George Clooney's house in Los Angeles. The couple reportedly paid $14.5 million for the 7,000 square foot property. According to reports, Clooney bought it for $2.2 million nearly 30 years ago. And finally, U.S. country singer Chris Christopherson has passed away at the age of 88. His representative said that the singer died peacefully at his home in Hawaii. He won 3 Grammys for Best Country Song in 1970s. Christopherson is survived by his wife, 8 children and 7 grandchildren. That's all for today. Thank you for joining us. I am Gursheen Garland and we'll see you right back here tomorrow. Stay informed and stay tuned to Firstpost.
Straight into the roof of the net. Nice one. Straight down the middle. So a good performance from both teams.
Hi, you're watching